a girl
and her gay watch The Magic School Bus.
It's the show where we yap about life, science, and go on an occasional rant about the state of the world. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Matt. We're your hosts, and we're here to invite you to our weekly yap sesh, bring you some 90s and 2000s nostalgia, and maybe teach you a little science.
Every Wednesday, we're hopping on the Magic School Bus, unpacking the science without the pressure of a pop quiz, and I'll be asking the questions I was too bored or afraid to ask in school.
Curiosity leads.
Chaos follows.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of A Girl and Her Gay Watch. Today, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 7, All Dried Up. Sarah, before we recap this episode, what are you thinking about today?
Ooh, yeah, that's a really great question, and one that I am shocked and surprised that you've asked me. This must be a new segment that you didn't discuss with me beforehand. I will be speaking to you about your performance in my office after this recording. I think the only things that we haven't really talked about is I went out for some cocktails last night.
Nice.
And I had 2 cocktails and 2 glasses of champagne cava, which is a lot for the middle of the week.
Yeah.
And yeah, I woke up this morning not feeling spectacularly great.
No.
And I did really good. I drank so much water. I was hydrated before going into it. I had a little, carby snack when I got home, and I've just been in a brain fog all day. And it's kind of one of those things where I think back to younger me and I'm like, damn.
How did she do it?
How did she do it? How did she do it? And the younger generations don't really drink that much.
They don't. Not as much as we did. It's just, it doesn't do it for them. I don't know what's shifted.
I'm glad it has.
Yeah. I think they're not doing it. Also, I kind of wonder if, with the legalization of marijuana more broadly, if, that's preferred, right? I feel like conversations on marijuana have also moved the needle on, other drugs that used to be classified as hard drugs, but now people are sort of less opposed to, kind of mushrooms, those kinds of things where I wonder if we're drinking less because those things don't make you feel bad the next day, but drinking does.
Interesting. And I don't know a single young person who doesn't drink that much, but isn't also chronically attached to whatever vape they're carrying around. The reintroduction of tobacco and nicotine specifically is insane to me.
Yeah.
Why are we running back nicotine addictions and the Zins and stuff?
Yeah.
Those are
hugely popular.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll keep my hangover and my shame. Have fun with your nicotine. It's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, unfortunately, too, you mentioned being hydrated. I think that dehydration is only part of the equation with alcohol.
Wow.
We were all told, it's the dehydration that gets you. And it's I think it's the alcohol.
The poison.
I think it's the poison and the metabolites of the poison.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. My body can't handle the poison anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me. You can pry a glass of champagne from my cold dead hands, but
well, should we get into talking about the episode? What are your initial, or let me recap it.
Yeah.
And then we'll get your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah. Remind me what we just witnessed.
So in today's episode of The Magic School Bus, our children are creating a diorama of the desert, and then they are it's missing something. What could it possibly be missing? They're oh, it's missing animals. We have plants and geology, but we don't have any animals. And so Miss Frizzle pulls out this little baggie of stuffed animals, and they set them up in the diorama. And then Carlos is all of these animals will die horrible deaths.
The theater. Crazy. He's
he really
sprawled out on the floor full Macbeth about it.
Yeah, it's great. And then that really incenses Phoebe, and she decides to create an acronym organization to save the desert animals. Those sad desert animals. So this, naturally kicks off a field trip. We go to the desert and we see that actually the animals in the desert have their own things going for them, and they don't need Phoebe's help. And then we end with a lovely little rainstorm and all of the beautiful desert flora in bloom. And then we pack it in.
Yeah, that's that, man.
So, first thoughts.
First thoughts. Okay. Actually, I liked this episode.
Mhm.
I love a desert and I like a lot of the critters in there. And they showed us quite a few. I mean, I was absolutely having a gleeful moment when the bus turned into a tortoise
Yeah.
and they went on into a tortoise burrow.
Yeah.
Didn't appreciate Bug.
Yeah. A lot of bug, a lot of creepy crawly.
They were small again. Mr. Frizzle
The
makes them small too much.
scorpion.
I didn't realize scorpions carried their babies on their back.
Yeah. Yeah. For a little bit, but
Okay. Well, didn't like that.
they also
There was
glow under UV light.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that later. So chill with the fun
Okay.
facts. This is my feelings.
Sorry. My bad. I won't police your feelings.
Thank you so much. And yeah, the scuttering of the centipede.
The-
I have like a maximum number of leg. I really even struggle with like 2-leg sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I, generally don't like a 2-leg. A 4-leg is pretty consistently good. 8. And then any more is just straight to hell, honestly.
A lot of sixers aren't good for me either.
Oh, yeah, sixers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. As always, I was like nervous going in. I don't know what I'm going to ask about. But then, the curiosity gets going for sure.
Yeah. You had mentioned that to me before we started recording, and I was thinking about this episode when I saw it like come on. I was like, oh, she's going to like this one.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
yeah.
It's just me asking you like 100 questions about tortoises and like me bringing
I
Torty
feel like
and like showing it to
you
the
are the
people.
tortoise expert here.
I mean, it's in my repertoire. It's in my repertoire. I wouldn't consider myself an expert by any means, but
Well, I would not consider myself a tortoise expert at all. So
it's a special interest of mine. Can we start off by just being really clear? We talked about it a little bit in our biomes habitat episode, but what makes a desert a desert?
So deserts typically are defined by their lack of precipitation. They don't necessarily have to be a specific temperature climate. And we talked about Antarctica can be classified as a desert due to its lack of general precipitation. But most commonly, we think of dry, warm deserts, right? And those, I would say, are the most widespread variety of deserts. So, and then they talk in the episode about why that is, so for the listeners, right, oftentimes they are in the rain shadow of a mountain range. So the moisture can't make it past the mountains. And so then therefore the desert is really dry because the air is dry. So it's evaporating more. And also, but there's not enough water there to evaporate up to create more clouds and condense.
Yeah, so I guess kind of geographically where we were in this episode was sort of Western United States. It was giving kind of like Arizona, outskirts of Vegas kind of situation. But like when I think about a desert, if someone's like, quick desert, I'm like, Sahara.
Gobi Desert.
That's okay. We can be different. So it was interesting to be in the cartoon world.
Yeah.
Our desert, which it looked like pretty accurate to me of how I imagine like the desert that we have here in the States of like, yeah, it's dry and sandy, but it's also like quite rocky and there's a lot of biodiversity. But then when I think about desert, I think Sahara and just like vast, expansive, just sand. Yeah.
Camel.
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I wanted to set the scene for people listening along. Is like a lot of these questions are going to kind of be targeted toward this more biodiverse. But I am curious as to why they are so different. Why does like our desert here in the States look so different than some of those in, like Western Africa or the Middle East?
Yeah. So I don't know for sure. My guess is that part of it is that our deserts are really quite small. I think if you just look at them on a Mercator projection map, they don't look that different, but like Africa's huge and it's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
been made to look smaller based on the Mercator projection. So I think that's part of it, right? Is like, I think in very specifically the desert that they were looking at in the show, we saw a deer.
Right.
I don't think deer are living in the desert
Okay. Thank
for,
you.
90% of their life.
Right.
But I think that there is, because they're rather small, there is sort of the ability of animals that live adjacent to the desert to like venture
Mhm.
in and out,
Mhm.
as they showed. Like when there are rain events, that can lead to a huge boom in biodiversity temporarily.
Mhm.
Or and it's not only even temporary, right? There are things that grow in deserts,
Sure.
but certainly like blooms and flowers and things like that, you're going to get, bats and butterflies and things that are not typically relying on that as their principal food source, popping
Sure.
in to sample.
Yeah.
And then my other guess would sort of be that it might have something to do with like ocean currents as well.
Mm.
I would not be surprised if like the way that the wind, what I know for sure, the way the wind blows and like the way that moisture is being directed like to the coasts and stuff with deserts can impact the climate of that region. So my guess is A, things like the Sahara, so large, the interior of that is going to be quite desolate because there's just not a
Mm.
lot of exchange
Mhm.
from less desert like places. And also that, like, if moisture does get brought to the area, it's going to rain out before it can get to the center of
Mm.
that desert.
Makes sense.
The rockiness, I don't necessarily know, other than maybe just time
Mm.
scales. Like the Rocky Mountains are a relatively new mountain range by
Right.
geologic scales. And so there's just a lot more upheaval in that region more recently. So I imagine that leads to it being more rocky. Whereas areas that have been tectonically inactive for longer, there's going to be less new rock being pushed forward. So weathering is going to break it down into sand over time.
Okay. So, yeah, this is kind of going beyond the scope, but I'm curious now. So, rock breaks down into sand. But
Mhm.
isn't it true that like the Sahara Desert used to be a sea or part of the ocean or something?
I've heard that. That would also lead to some sand being there.
Okay. Interesting. So, can we talk about flora and fauna?
Yeah, let's talk about flora and fauna.
Okay.
And
So,
Meriwether. Don't leave out Meriwether.
I don't even know what that is. Meriwether Post
Oh,
Pavilion? What is
no.
it?
In Sleeping Beauty, the three fairies are flora fauna at Meriwether.
Oh, so little did I know. Didn't know that they had
I
names.
know a fairy.
Well, I wasn't gonna say, but flora, fauna in deserts.
Mhm.
A lot of this episode was about animal adaptations, but I
Yeah.
imagine the same can be said for the plants
Mhm.
in the area. So I th- what comes to mind is like seeds that can really withstand like long dry periods or that don't require a lot of water to take hold and sprout, or plants that are what's it called when they don't reproduce from seed necessarily, but like if a chunk of a cactus breaks off it will like
Oh,
grow a
yeah.
whole new cactus. Like what's that?
Propagation
Yeah.
is like what we do. So
Right.
I guess it's still propagation.
Sure. Like in the animal world, it's like what, like asexual reproduction or something
Yeah.
like sponges and whatever. And
Division.
yeah, like I was thinking about something else of just like ways that plants survive because we didn't get into that. And I have a laundry list of
Yeah.
animal questions, but I do, being a plant nerd yourself, what do you think about, or what can you tell me about like the special ways that plants have adapted to be able to survive and reproduce and thrive in these harsh environments?
Yeah. So they talk about it a little bit in the producer segment that Phoebe
Mm,
does, how cactuses, like their needles are leaves,
mhm.
right? So that they have changed over time to be like very firm and not able to lose water as easily
Right.
as like a typical plant leaf that is gonna, a lot of surface area, and exchanges gases with the atmosphere pretty readily. So, like, and even just like the shape of cactuses, like they are chunky on the inside typically, so they can store water and then have sort of a waxy exterior again to help prevent
Evaporation.
evaporation
Yeah.
from their surfaces. But then there's also things like, and I have one, a resurrection plant.
Oh, yeah.
They look like a little like brown ball, but like the minute you water them, they start to open up and then will be like green inside.
Yeah.
Um,
Next time I'm over, I need you to water that because I've never seen it happen.
okay. Yeah, it's quick. Like I don't water all the time because they don't need
Sure.
to be opening and closing all the time, but probably every like couple months or so I water it as I'm watering my plants.
Mm.
And like it will be open. I mean, you've been to my house. Like when I water the left side of my office, it will be open when I'm finished watering the right side of my
Man,
office. Like she gets moving.
that's so interesting. Like, how does it stay alive? So I imagine all of these plants still photosynthesize.
Yeah, I mean, so they're gonna go like sort of into a dormancy state, right? So they're
Okay.
not gonna be producing a ton of energy. They're not gonna be using up a lot of energy, and they're just gonna be sort of sitting and waiting. But sort of in the same way that like, when the spring rains come, like toads get to it and they like immediately go tadpole frog very quickly compared to like bullfrog that does tadpole for like 3 years.
Oh, I guess I never realized that.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
and it's just a difference of like bullfrogs live in areas where there's consistent water.
Mm,
I think tadpoles can bury in the mud if it dries out, but like that only lasts for so long.
hmm.
Whereas frogs like toads, they'll mate in small pools.
Right.
And so those tadpoles need to be frogs before that little pool of water dries up. So
Okay.
they are on the clock.
Interesting.
And so I think there's a lot of desert animals that are like that, where once the conditions are right for reproduction or whatever life process they need to do, they move quick and then they
Right.
go back through a period of very like slow time. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
That's a great strategy. I have a specific question about cactuses. So when it rains, they just take up as much water as they possibly can and store it. What does that process look like on a cellular level? Like, where is all the water going? How do they not burst? Like, what's happening inside of them?
Yeah, great question. So, talking a little bit about the difference between plant and animal cells, plant cells have a cell wall that animal cells do not. So, they are less prone to bursting
Mm,
from absorbing water. And basically, what'll happen on a cellular level is when they are low on water, the cell membrane actually pulls away from the cell wall. And then they can refill it up to the edge of the cell wall. And the cell wall will bend a little bit. So, like, they'll
mm,
become quite turgid when they have liquids like in them. But from a perspective of how they get the water in, it's sort of the way that you just talked about capillary action. So the roots in the ground come into the contact with the water and they're like small tubules.
mm.
And the water will get like pulled up it based on adhering to the sides of that tube and the fact that like water molecules cohere with each other. And so they just sort of get sucked right up.
Cool. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned roots because I'm curious about kind of the difference of roots in these more desert environments than forested or rainforested environments. I feel like, are they more shallow or are they deep or do they still have tap roots? Like, what's going on underground that keeps them protected from high winds so that they don't fall over? And then B, can like maximize getting water when it comes. How different are they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't specifically know. From growing cactuses, they typically don't have much root to them at
Right. They're
all.
like kind of.
Um, I would imagine in the wild, they're fairly shallow and a little bit more widespread,
Mm,
similar to like a tree. Um, tree roots aren't actually as deep as people think they are.
hmm.
Um, so that when the water is at the surface, they can really like maximize the surface area that they can absorb from. But also, like, I think we think about them as like losing all their water, getting water, and then like bringing all their water back.
Mm,
And that's not exactly how that works. I don't, they obviously drain down their water. but they're not like on empty, right?
Right.
Unless there's like a severe issue.
Sure. Okay.
I would guess though that in some instances tap roots are also a thing, being able to get like way deep to like lower reservoirs of water.
Right.
So my guess would be that there's still quite a bit of diversity in terms of rootedness. Although in like rockier deserts, right, they may not have a lot of soil, so that's going to limit their root growth.
Right. They're just kind of hanging on to
Hmm.
whatever they've got. So, despite how it might have been depicted at the end of the episode, there's like a level of scarcity with plants. I feel like when I see deserts, there's not a lot of them like tightly compacted together. Is that
Mm-hmm.
because they're all just like fighting for resources, or because they don't reproduce as quickly, or like what is truly the reason that it seems like it's like cactus versus, like a forest situation where there's like layers and
Yeah.
layers.
So let's talk about biofilms.
Okay.
So, because deserts are so quite dry and often very rocky or sandy, there
Mm.
is not a lot of like good soil for growing.
Mhm.
But what will happen is these little bacterial fungal colonies
Ooh.
will create this crust
Okay.
that they call biofilms, and they're like very delicate. But
Okay.
they are like the starter of like whole ecosystems in the desert because they allow other plants to grow because as they like grow and die, they like add organic matter to that soil or to that
Hmm.
sand and like create soil. So
Interesting.
oftentimes you will see clusters of life where one of these biofilms has developed and then, a widespread swath of nothing and then another like cluster.
Ooh. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, because it's like the more plants you have that are dying, it's feeding back into
Yep.
that
Yep.
system. Interesting.
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
It's one of the things why if you are ever exploring in like a desert environment, stick to the trail because if you like step on one of them, it can really jack it up.
Oh,
Because like they are a delicate thin layer and they need to like stay together and in that layer because that's how they like retain moisture by being able to like
right.
have sort of an interior.
Huh.
Um, so you can disrupt.
Interesting. Biofilms. You learned it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just me. Okay. So talking about little puddles,
Mhm.
after it rained in the episode, they showed us shrimp.
Shrimps.
What was that about?
I don't know. I was equally shocked to see that.
Okay. Desert shrimp. It's two words I do not want together.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure they're quite small, right? Like,
Mm.
I'm guessing it's sort of like brine shrimp. You know how like you
Mm.
can get like sea monkeys or
Oh,
brine
yeah.
shrimp and they're like a little packet of eggs and you put them in water and then they all hatch out and then they all
Okay.
die.
Mm.
My guess is it's similar to that, right? Where the water puddle forms, those little eggies hatch, they're like bebopping around and then they reproduce, lay eggs, the eggs dry out, and then
Crazy.
wait until the next rain.
What a life.
Yeah.
Just a really thrilling,
A short burst of
really,
activity.
yeah,
I
really
mean,
thrilling experience for them.
on a geologic scale, aren't we all just a short burst of activity?
And you keep reminding me of that, and it's not messing with my psyche at all. So keep saying it. I love it. Okay.
All the best comedy podcasts are about death.
Yeah. Let's talk about some animals. I mean, we're
Yeah.
kind of already there. We just talked about shrimps. I want to ask specifically, they showed us a desert rabbit and talked about how large ears
Big old ear.
help with them cooling themselves. Love that bit of technology. An elephant is my favorite animal, and they do the same thing. Big vascular, like big flappy boys keeps them cool. But then you also just talked about plants and how they've adapted to prevent evaporation by not having leaves. Well, having leaves, but like whatever you said, I've retained it. So, right, like plants have adapted like what we would think of as like a traditional leaf into, smaller, spikier, drier, whatever to avoid
Yep.
evaporation.
Waxy.
What about the rabbit?
Yeah. So this is where a like traditional plant cell, like oak leaf, is
Mhm.
very different than human cell,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
So and or animal cell. Um
Mhm.
so plant cells are much more prone to evaporation
Okay.
than human cells, and that's in part because of like the way that we have skin. And so we have like, a layer of living skin cells, but also a layer of dead skin cells that while they're dead, they still need to be there and like perform an essential function of like creating a barrier between us
Mm,
and our natural environment. So animals just generally have better barriers to
okay.
prevent evaporation than
Okay.
plants do. And in most cases, like being able to lose water through their leaves is useful to a plant,
Mhm.
except in the case of when it's quite dry. And even
Sure.
like regular plants that aren't desert plants have adaptations to survive periods of drought. Like I believe their stomata on their leaves are the little like open and close.
Mm,
And we'll see those if we ever get to the like school play episode of Jack and the Beanstalk. It's one of my favorites.
okay.
Magic School Bus gets potted, and they close those up during like dry, hot days,
Okay.
and then we'll open them at night.
Okay. Interesting. So then let's add reptiles if we're talking about whatever thermoregulation. Is that a
Hmm.
word? So we've talked about how plants do it, how mammals do it. You're a bit of a reptile guy yourself.
I've had a reptile.
So reptiles,
Yeah.
thermoregulation.
Yeah.
They're cold blooded.
Yep.
And so they use the sun to get warm,
Hmm.
but then at night they get really cold and then they slow down. So, like,
Yes.
how do they thermoregulate? I feel like
So
it's very fickle to be cold
it
blooded.
is. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of reptiles, when it gets cool, they slow down, right? So a lot of them may go dormant over the evening, but also the sun in the day, even though like it cools down, a lot of the rocks still retain heat really
Mm,
well. So like
hmm.
laying on warm rock can also help them maintain their temperature. And that's really sort of what's happening in the daytime as well, right? Because like the sun beaming on them, yes, but the air being hot isn't really what warms them. It's like
Hmm.
the contact with the warm rocks.
I feel like desert animals don't eat that much because we saw a roadrunner chasing after a lizard, couldn't catch him. Also, side note, roadrunners are so much smaller than the
The-
coyote and roadrunner led me to believe.
Yeah,
I thought a roadrunner was the size of a coyote. They're just little
they're
guys.
little guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um, and,
but
you know,
quick, very quick little
quick,
guys.
quick. And I mean, I think everybody, is an equal opportunity predator, right? I mean, even the tortoises are trying to get their snack on when things are blooming and fresh, but I guess they don't have to eat as much as other mammals. What's going on?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's one of the principal adaptations a lot of times is like just requiring less food. So, in like lean periods, they probably downregulate their metabolism to like slow
Mm,
down. They're probably not doing as much, a lot of lounging about
sure.
until the next time that like the activity. And I think that's generally the story of deserts is it's very boom and bust.
Mm,
It is everything all at once or like then taking it pretty chill. And there's certainly like obviously while there are periods of more bounty, there's still grasses and things that like,
right.
and insects and whatnot that can be munched upon the whole time, but certainly not to the extent of the rainforest.
Well, yeah, definitely. Can we talk about some physical adaptations for protection?
Yeah. Can I get on a soapbox for a second?
I was waiting for this. Let me get comfy.
I don't know that it's like that exciting of a soapbox.
No, I love your soapboxes. Go for it.
I just want to say for the people,
Mm,
oftentimes we talk about preserving the rainforest. And it's a big, big issue. Don't get me wrong. And like, there's a
mhm,
lot of benefits provided to us by the rainforest.
mm,
I think it's valuable and super important. But I also feel like our deserts and like rocky areas don't get the same level of care and treatment. And like, there's less of them. So maybe stop leasing off public lands for drilling oil.
Okay, well, that was gonna be my question is, like, I know a lot of rainforests are being cut down for, like, agriculture and farming. Square mile by square mile, are deserts equally at risk?
I would say probably not equally at risk, right? I mean, the thing about rainforests, they're very fertile land, so they're great for agriculture, and so
Yeah.
there's, like, a desire to, like, cut them down. In general, rainforest in general, deserts, not as useful for human activities
Mhm,
other than, I think, for, like, oil drilling and fracking,
mhm.
um, and, they are unique ecosystems that deserve preservation as well. So, obviously, we have to prioritize where we give our time and attention, but that's just a little soapbox for, you know, think
No.
of the other ecosystems that need preservation as well.
Well, and I think you've been really consistent in that shtick is, like, biodiversity is a good thing, and, like, it's the way that it has become is the way that we should try to maintain.
Mhm.
So we talked about spikes and we saw a scorpion, which was gross, but I imagine it's gross stinger.
Yeah. Deterrent.
Yeah. And I don't really understand venom at all. It's fascinating to me. Where do the
Mhm.
ingredients of venom come from, especially when you are in a place where you're really not eating that much? And so, how do you have all the ingredients you need to make the poison to then kill a thing? Venom. I don't know. That's fascinating to
I
me.
mean, I can talk a little bit about it if you like.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, most of the venoms are actually proteins. So, the, like, same basic essential amino acids that they're using to, like, create cells in their body, they're using to create the venom.
Hmm.
It's just about the specific arrangement of the proteins and then the way that those proteins molecules the amino acids interact with one another to fold and form, a protein.
Fascinating.
Proteins are crazy. Like,
Yeah.
when you think about it, I think there's, like, 23 common amino acids, and they form so many different proteins.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling because when you say protein, I just think about dude bros eating chicken breasts. I don't think about, yeah, a spider creating a paralytic venom. Like, that's insane to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So using what we've learned from previous episodes and, like, building on the topic, we talked a lot about evolution and how it's not really like an active thing. It's just it's a passive thing
Mhm.
over the course of time. And so and maybe you can provide some other examples too, but again, the one that we saw was a very spiky lizard. So I imagine once upon a time, you know, a lizard had decent spikes and that got passed on and da 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 da. And now we have really, really, really
Yeah.
spiky lizards. Yeah. What other, because now that we know how that happens, I feel like I'm kind of out of questions. Like, I get it. Cool.
Yeah.
But what other fun self protection
Yeah. I mean, we have
features?
we have armadillo.
Roll up,
Yeah, roll up,
leprosy.
hard skin. Well, I don't think the leprosy is part of it, but they do
Oh,
spread leprosy. Yeah. So they do the roll up. Also, I think like there are behavioral adaptations that we often like overlook, like being
hmm.
able to burrow and get underground
Yep.
away from predator, being able to fly
Mm.
away, in terms of like bird, insect. But I would think and say, generally speaking, the sort of self-protection adaptations of the desert aren't necessarily unique to the desert as much as like the surviving the elements are.
Mm.
Um, you know, I do think they're probably colored by that, right? Like, think the kinds of things you have in the desert where they need a like thick exterior to protect from the elements probably lends itself more to spiky lizard than say, sort of dichotomy again, rainforest where like maybe having more permeable skin to like be able to absorb moisture and like also release moisture is
Yeah.
is better. And like
Yeah.
that doesn't lend itself to to spike so much.
Right. No, it is. I don't know why I just thought of this. It's like when you mix and match the different environments that animals come from and the actual animal itself, you really start to get into like Pokemon.
Yeah.
I guess I've never really thought about like how organized and seemingly intentional it all is, but it makes sense, right? Like something's not going to survive where it can't. So
Yeah.
Darwin really do be onto something. Survival of the fittest.
Well,
Is that Darwin?
or perhaps there is a creator who chose to do it all.
That's getting cut. So, okay, can we go back to Scorpion?
Let's talk about Scorpion.
They freak me out, first of all.
Yep. Don't like them.
Second of all, I do think they're really interesting and they've got some features that I just don't really understand. And my mouth is getting juicy because I don't even want to talk about it. It's making me ill. So, do we know how old scorpions are evolutionarily? Right? Like there are some really ancient species that have like not changed a lot and they've been around for a long time. Is scorpion one of them? I mean, obviously not because it's not in the water, but like I feel like it's got a good thing going and it's been around for a while.
I don't know for sure.
Mm.
My guess would be that they've been around for quite some time because there's a diversity of scorpions.
Oh,
Like we think of like scorpion as one thing, but there are lots of different types of scorpions.
my skin is crawling.
And I think they're all over the world.
Interesting. So that means
Because like, and I don't think they're just desert either. Like I think there are scorpions adapted to other environments, but
okay.
yeah, they're freaky and they're they're arachnids question mark.
Okay. Arachnids question mark.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're arachnids question mark.
Are you looking that up right now?
Oh yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. They seem spider adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah, scorpions are considered arachnids.
Ugh, disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Closely related to spiders, mites, ticks.
Okay.
But honestly, I think them being related to arachnids makes them make more sense.
Say more.
Because like a lot of spiders have venom.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously the method of administering that venom to prey or to an animal you're trying to like fend off is different, but like the biological machinery is there.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I don't like scorpions because they just have too many methods of attack. It's like they pinch, they
Pinchies.
bite, and they sting. Pick one. Like
Yeah.
you're just being greedy with all of these. I don't like it.
Like a spider bee. Like
Yeah, scorpions are Pokemon. It's like you've done too much here.
Is there a scorpion? Yeah, there's a scorpion Pokemon.
Of course there's a scorpion Pokemon.
He's a flying type.
See?
He's flying ground. He's got wings.
No.
Gliscor, I believe.
Pokemon that's like whatever, like a set of bells. Of course there's a scorpion Pokemon.
Yeah. There's also like Pokemon that are just like hot women, which I find weird.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I mean, not like in like a super like hentai way, but like not approaching.
Are there just hot men Pokemon?
I think Machamp would probably be considered a hot man Pokemon. Probably more Machoke. Machamp has an extra set of arms, but
I don't know. Some people are into some things, you know.
Machoke.
Who are you to say? Well, this can be a spinoff episode of reviewing Pokemon, something that you, again, know significantly more than I do.
Honestly, that would be a lot of fun.
Why do, and I know you want me to ask you this, so lock in. Why do scorpions glow under UV light? Why'd you bring it up? If you didn't want me to ask you about it. It's cool, but like,
I don't know
we're
why
here to know things.
I don't know for sure. Do you think?
And that's all right.
And I don't think we collectively know for certain.
Oh, like how we don't really know how eels reproduce or something.
Yeah, I think we or
know,
where
but
they
like,
do, but like, yeah. They don't know if it is like a defense or warning situation where like the animals can see that they're glowing.
Right.
Because not all of them, like they glow under like black light.
Right.
They
Nature
don't.
doesn't have a black light.
Right.
So
But,
whose animal's eyes see that wavelength without it being
like
there?
some lizards can see in the UV spectrum
Mm.
because it helps them find their good basking spots.
Oh, nice.
So I think that potentially maybe the lizards can see the glow.
So is that something that lizards have gotten better at? Because do scorpions predator on lizards?
I mean, small ones they would, but larger lizards would try to predator on scorpion.
Ooh,
So it
so it
might
could
be
be
like
like
a
a
way to be like,
twofer.
hey, don't attack me. I'm
Right.
glowy and scary.
Right.
But also, it might be that they can see it in each other and
Well,
like use it
spiders have
to,
crazy eyes, so
yeah, and like use it to find each other at night because they are primarily nocturnal.
right.
Mm.
Okay. Gross.
A lot of possibilities, but
Okay.
I mean, why do they glow, like, scientifically is just that they have fluorescent compounds in their exoskeleton.
Yeah, but like, where did they come from? Where did they go? Where did they come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah. I mean, so, like, when the UV light hits them, their compounds in their bodies absorb it and then re-emit it, which causes the glow. Similar to the way, like, when you put those little stars on your
I was going to
ceiling.
say, so they have to be charged up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just did some quick research, and another reason that they speculate that scorpions will glow is that the fluorescence might work as a type of sunblock to protect the scorpions, which I think makes sense. Because, like, if the UV light hits them and then is absorbed by their exoskeleton and emitted at a lower wavelength, like, they're absorbing that energy exteriorly so it doesn't actually harm their insides.
Interesting.
Because it's sort of the way, like, our sunblock works, right? Like, the compounds in our sunblock absorb the UV energy so it doesn't get into our skin.
Right. Fascinating. Yeah, it's such a shame that a little guy that has such cool features is so disgusting. All right. You ready to play a game?
Yeah, I'm ready to play a game. Let's do it.
Okay. So this is for what's her name?
For Phoebe.
For Phoebe.
Yeah.
God bless
we decided
her.
during our watch party that Phoebe was having a little phone date in the producer segment. So
yeah.
She's up.
So that's going to be our first potential partner for her.
Yeah. Boy on the phone. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who else?
I think we need to find a woman for Phoebe.
Yeah.
Phoebe sort of strikes me as the kind of girl who suddenly in college is like,
this explains everything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Arnold and Wanda canonically in our world are together.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean they can't be like E&M.
You're going to put her with Wanda?
They're both a lot.
Wanda is a lot. Kind of like the idea of her, and according to my research.
Yeah. Oh, you want to give her like a more gentle.
Yeah.
Okay. Characters. What's her name?
I wish I could tell you. I feel bad for not being able to tell you.
Dorothy Ann?
Dorothy Ann.
Then who else? Who do you think?
I don't know. We should give her someone in the real world.
Okay.
Which the Magic School Bus is very real, but
who's like a naturey conservationist?
Jane Goodall.
Lady woman. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Jane.
It's going to be a heck of an age gap, but
well,
it works for Holland Taylor and can't think of
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Holland Taylor is? We've done this already on this podcast.
Everything you say, I retain. I'm like a vault.
Yeah, because I brought up the Legally Blonde woman who's in the salon getting her nails done. That's Holland Taylor.
Yeah. Okay. And I still don't know, nor do I care.
Sarah Paulson is dating Holland Taylor.
Yes. Okay. Sarah Paulson. Great. Well, we got to lead with Sarah Paulson because I know who Sarah Paulson is. I don't know.
Prius.
Prius, obviously. Subaru, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
At
first, I didn't realize you were putting Subi, and I was like, wow, she really can't spell Subaru.
We'll put it up there with chartreuse. It's never going to happen.
I don't know. Moped. Vespa.
Yeah.
Powder blue Vespa.
She's really living my dream. Powder blue, obviously.
Powder blue. Ball gown.
Okay, what else? Green. I feel like her Subaru would be green.
Yeah.
But time will tell.
She's got that green Outback.
Yeah.
Burnt orange.
You did burnt orange last time.
Did I?
Burnt sienna. I had to talk about burnt sienna. I'm not playing this game with you.
Yeah, I'm insufferable.
Yeah, there's a multitude of colors, I feel like.
Maroon.
You've done maroon before, too.
Purple.
Great. Okay. She's a conservationist, obviously. Yeah. I don't know how to spell that. Conservationist.
I also feel like she's like, I don't know, like Habitat for Humanity. I feel like she...
Okay. I like that. I also feel like because she's a little misguided.
A lobbyist.
Yeah, like PETA. You know what I mean? Where it's like the intentions are fine, but the outcomes are not.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want her to be a lobbyist?
I think she can be a member of PETA, but like, is that a job?
I think she's like on the board. Yeah. Is it 2 E's? PETA.
No, it's just that's the Hunger Games character.
That's PETA bread.
PETA stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. 7.
Yeah, she just like runs an orphanage now.
Yeah.
She's like, they're all my children. She just starts adopting copious amounts of animals and calls them her children.
Yeah.
3,697.
And that's just the number of pill bugs she has.
We couldn't begin to count.
Our high school biology teacher, AP biology teacher, fed the pill bugs all year long because she could not stand the idea of killing them.
Well, it's like that one time I caught that pregnant mouse in my home.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to put her outside. She was about to give birth. It was the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Coco knocked over their enclosure, and then I had to catch all these baby mice. Absolute insanity. All right, where's our girl? Okay. Let's see. She could be living in the middle of the rainforests with Jane.
That's true.
You know? Like she's off grid, doing her work.
Hard up.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
And then maybe she's out in like some like weather station in the middle of the ocean collecting data.
Or like a fire tower in the middle of like...
Fire tower is lovely.
Yeah.
Wherever she's needed.
Arizona, Utah.
Sure.
All over.
Well, she fell in love with...
Yeah.
With it. Okay, are you ready to predict the future?
I'm ready. We made her very crunchy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's the boy on the phone.
In the blue soup. So she still might have an awakening.
Maybe he's very soft, you know? Maybe it's a lavender situation.
They have no kids. They support Habitat for Humanity. But they live in the rainforest.
Beautiful. Yeah. So
she's cutting down trees to build those houses.
Congratulations. She ended up with boy on the phone with 0 children and a powder blue Subi parked outside of their mansion in the heart of the rainforest. Ooh. Okay. Somehow this is now your life as a Habitat for Humanity worker. Maybe she's on the board. I don't love that she's built a mansion in the heart of the rainforest, but maybe it's like a Tarzan situation.
Yeah. I mean, also maybe she has the mansion, but she spends most of her time, you know, in a tent in the rainforest or a small little like community for research.
I think that's totally fair. Great. We've come to the conclusions. I'm happy for her.
I am happy for her too.
And the boy on the phone, get it?
Yeah,
I'm so glad he shot his shot. You never know.
Well, it's been lovely potting with you. As always.
Yeah, I think this is a good one. It's kind of funny to me how, like, as this goes on, I feel like I have fewer questions because I'm starting to piece together the full story where it's like, I don't need to ask about that because I know about that now.
Well, and that's why I'm excited for next week, because next week we'll be back with season 1, episode 8, Magic School Bus, The Haunted House. And we're getting away from ecology and sort of natural world and doing a little more physics.
Okay, well, we might have to call in a special guest because, as you said on more than one occasion, physics is not your strong suit.
It's not my strong suit. I think I know enough about sound that we'll be able to get through it. But
Okay,
I also love
brace
this
yourself.
episode. It's one of my faves.
Okay, cool. Well, goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Well, that's a wrap on the App Session for this week. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and share. We can be found on Instagram and TikTok at A Girl and Her Gay Watch and on Blue Sky at The Girl and Her Gay Pod.
If you'd like to get in direct contact with us to ask a question or submit a correction, send us an email at agirlandhergaywatch@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.